Evening, good day, whenever it is that you're watching this. Hello, you. I've just gone to a client's house, due to start at 9:30. Do some gardening, weeding, and some planting. They're not home. That means I've got a little bit of time to spare because my beautiful boy and my beautiful wife, they happen to be out doing other things because I plan to be working this morning. It was rent day yesterday and I'm still filling that little tank up so I could do with a bit more time of weeding. We could all do with a bit more weed in our lives in some way or another. The endocannabinoid system is becoming better known, I suppose, but the fact is it's been agreed by science that there is such a system of nourishment in the body, and it's apparently, active all the time, creating cannabinoids and extracting them from food or from your system processes. And as you get older, that process obviously slows down. So in some cases, as you age, the more the cannabinoids you will need. And that segues quite nicely into the title of my little go live this morning, is the problem, patriotism, as I said. And I am obviously of a patriotic makeup myself, because coming up I was pretty patriotic about, not insanely so, but I had a sense of being South African, I had a sense of being British born and so on. So, and I was proud of that. Proud of, this is where it gets sort of closer to home, is, you're proud of your neighborhood or not, or you're competing with a different neighborhood in your mind somehow, or physically. You want to be, morning, right? You want to be proud of your school. Everyone wants to be proud of their school, or not, and have some kind of competitive mindset against another school. It's where the little leagues and the football teams and so on, as much fun as it is for the youngsters to be playing it, it is inculcating from a very early age that ideology of supporting a colour, a team, a flag, a borough, a province. In my case, we were very much, Natal was my home province, where in Durban, where I grew up. Natal was the home province, so when rugby was being played, it was Natal. They now call it KwaZulu Natal, or perhaps they've even just dropped the Portuguese aspect of that name, and it's just KwaZulu now. And then people become attached to those labels. Actually, a funny rugby story comes to mind when I went back to South Africa about 10 years ago, before I unfriended myself by coming out as a flat earther. I went along with an old school pal, to a rugby match, a provincial level rugby match, and everyone was rooting for the Sharks, and it made absolutely no sense to me. Because to me, when I last went to the rugby back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, it was Natal. Come on, Natal. So I was up there shouting, come on, Natal. People were looking around at me like, what's this guy shouting? And some were like, nostalgia, yeah, Natal, yeah. But everybody had kind of moved on to calling them the Sharks, because they'd all adopted these new names, and the rugby teams had adopted these new names as part of the Super 15, or the Southern Hemisphere Rugby League that they set up. And obviously part of the whole branding and profit making by kind of association, and by creating something that's, well, it's not political, I suppose, calling it the Sharks, and You know, everyone's very happy to wear their Sharks shirt. Morning. So, yeah, I mean that just is a classic sign of how, you know, people can be brought to a patriotic fervor by nothing more than a leather ball and 15 strapping blokes. And a team behind those 15 strapping blokes, it's fair to say, but you know what I'm saying. I think you get the point. And that patriotism is not just a nationalist thing, because obviously it applies across the piece to the religious color group, color subgroup, religious subgroup. You know, there's the Protestants, and then there's the Seventh-day Adventists, and then the Mormons, and the Brethren. You know, and the knock on the door ones. You know, Jehovah's. They're all kind of patriotic to their nuance, to their so-called leadership and most revered teachers. And that seems to be how most of us are wired up. So I really don't want to be criticizing that as much as observing it and recognizing that as part of our discovery, as part of our soul journey. I think is to move through that place of needing to choose, you know. I see it in the Christian community, and a Muslim friend said it just the other day, you know, like Muslim flat earth friend. You know, just the other day he said, well, I'm still Muslim, you know, obviously. And I think a lot of Christians say exactly the same thing. Oh, I'm still taking my kind of verbatim, my how to be from the same organization that lied to me. No, it wasn't them. You know, their preachers didn't know that. Well, it might be the case that the preachers don't know. The preachers don't know that the earth is flat. They went to seminary and agreed that sort of those flat earth references were made by people who didn't fully understand that it was a globe, and they thought it was flat, but they somehow managed to juxtapose the awesomeness of the totality of this creator with his inability to convey that this earth was either a ball with some magical gravitational attractive force happening that he'd created, and how he created that. Or go, you know what, guys, I think it makes it a lot simpler if I just do everything in strata, in planes, like that, you know, levels of, like a building, you know, how you would build in the normal world. You would say, do levels, you'd have an elevator, an escalator, or whatever to take people between the levels. But generally, people like to get off at the escalator on a level plane. Just works better that way. But no, they've managed to take from their biblical teachers this thing. By the way, I was listening to a very good live stream this morning by Flat Earth Fokker, Mac, and Vegan Warrior, Curtis. And yeah, good work. I also listened to yesterday's one with guy's name escapes me right now, but also, you know, very good work, and very good to hear these guys talking on such, you know, beyond the schoolyard conversation. Because, you know, as far as I'm concerned now, that, you know, any conversation that has to be held in the kind of, oh no, that's a touchy subject area that group don't allow. Well, why not? What group gets to kind of have preferential treatment in a system where everybody seems to have been lied to? So I'm saying that, you know, these preachers and so on are not going to their thing on a Sunday saying that the earth is a ball, thinking the other way. They went to church, school, at seminary, and learnt that it was a ball, and they accept that. I actually told a lay preacher who lives just down the road from me. I did some gardening for him last year. I would never do some gardening for him again, I suppose, because I told him the earth is flat and he needs to review what he's teaching people. He's cordial with me now. As I say, I don't think I'll get any more work from him. Although he's a quantity surveyor as well, so you know how anal they can be. And I'm not an anal guy's friend. They don't like me so much. I'm too far from doing it by the book, you know. That's what people struggle with, I think. Anyway, that's bullshit, by the way. I lost my train of thought there, but I was saying about how we need to consider that if we're still adhering to teachings that were given to us by the system that told us that we lived on a ball, you haven't really, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't really grasped the totality of this deception and therefore the importance on dropping a lot of that kind of assumption or that belief. You know, I think Vegan Warrior was right in saying that you know, people, and I think Curtis Mack was saying the same thing. You know, people can hold to their beliefs, but if we ever want the system to change, then continuing to go along and fill the coffers of the church or the mosque and going, you know, don't worry, we don't mind that you don't tell the flock that it's flat, even if you do or don't know, or that you're not willing to do enough deep research as we have to really come to see how this world may be working in ways that are not material, then you're not of the integrity of a person, of a man, of a preacher, to be honored in any way, you know, revered in any way, or to be held up in any way. You know, it is that kind of, oh, we'll just pretend. We'll go along with the headmistress. We're going to have dinner with the headmistress, and we won't bring up any of the difficulties or any of the issues that we have with the way that the system is working. We'll let the preacher go by and go, yeah, you know, have a good day, preacher. Carry on lying to the flock. Carry on lying to the children. Carry on deceiving them. Knowingly or otherwise, I think it's a crying shame, and it's a reflection on those people, and that includes my own family, that they can't do that inner work. They can't find that critical thinking that they need. I don't know. When you see all these deceptions going on and certain deaths that have occurred recently, you know, you still think that there is an unfolding happening here, and eventually people are going to be forced to stare at the truth. It's just going to be uncomfortable because they will have had no time to prepare their minds for that. Morning. It's a bit noisy. I hope that's not all coming through on the audio for you. So those leaf blowers are effective but annoying. I'm going to sit down for a second. Hey Sean, thanks for stopping by. Take that out. Who knows exactly what that all means. But obviously people are buying a 20 or 30 pounds worth of weed and you don't get very much for it. This is the patriotism that you know, people are buying into a brand. It's interesting, eh? You buy your weed with a logo on from an organization or a company that would incarcerate you and steal from you if you would dare to grow this plant. That's irony. That is fucking irony. I didn't stage that, by the way. I just happened upon this. I don't know if it's something to do with the cycle of the moon. We're almost in the new moon, and you know, I feel like I need to see the wheels turning. Yeah. Patriotism is going to hold people's minds. It's going to be exploited in some way, even if they turn it into some patriotism for the human race. It's most definitely going to be a system-controlled psyop, psychological operation designed to continue to hold the mind and retain it away from the truth about who and what we are. Is that the design? Is that what's intended to maintain this? Does that stay a reset? What's the point of it all? There's a lot of division in flat earth too, you know, and that patriotism overruns flat earth too. And this connection to models and this connection to people and organizations and this and that, and we do it all the time. We keep making clubs, we keep making little cliques. It's hard to avoid. Anyway, I'm I guess in a slightly somber state of mind today, but I have had the most beautiful times with my little boy Alexander. He is talking so much, so many words. He is absolute. I mean, you know, my older children are, you know, they're young adults and they don't need dad, and dad's influence has waned somewhat, whereas this young fella, he's seeing it all for the first time, and just this new light that is open to being nurtured, and it's just an absolute blessing, or joy. Apparently I shouldn't say blessing. Anyway, I'm blessed for you. I'm running out of battery, so I'm going to say goodbye, and I hope you have a good day.